After months of speculation and hundreds of song submissions, the BBC has finally revealed the 6 finalists in Eurovision You Decide. So it's time for us to go around and name our top 3. Chris, why don't you kick us off with number 3?
Okay, so my number 3 is probably a bit of a left field one, and I didn't think they would be my number 3, but it's Dulcima with When You Go. I just think that having heard it a few times now and compared with the other songs, it is probably... It's relatively good. Once you get over like the shock of the first chorus, it's actually kind of like a foot tapper. I definitely don't want it to go to Eurovision because it would be just... It's better than Dervish, which isn't saying much, but yeah, I think that it'll still be good on the night. It'll be a good like folky like foot tapper for the show, but for Eurovision probably not.
I thought that song started off quite promisingly when we could just hear the male vocalist, and I'm thinking, oh, this sounds a bit maybe like Of Monsters and Men or Mumford and Sons, that kind of territory. And then the lady starts singing, and she's kind of, maybe not singing, more like wailing, and her, yeah, she ruins it for me.
Have y'all seen that teen comedy, She's All That? Well, when the lady walks...
Years ago.
She walks down the stairs, and it's like, kiss me, beneath the... It kind of reminded me of that song. So I think it does have like a mainstream appeal. You could hear this in the background of a rom-com starring Gwyneth Paltrow and Adam Sandler. But ultimately for me, this is background music. It is not center stage. It's more Village Fair, Village Fate than it is Eurovision big stage. But it is catchy, like Chris says. On repeat listen, I find myself saying, oh, this is very pleasant. Porig, number 3.
My third choice, well, firstly, it's very hard to pick a top 3 because all the songs seem like demo versions. They're not very polished, they don't have production value, so I'm hoping that whatever song gets to Eurovision gets some money pumped into it. But my third choice is Joe and Jake. A nice, pleasant song. That's what's getting it my top 3. I can't see it winning Eurovision. I can't see it challenging the top 3. It's a bit bland, it's a bit safe, it's a bit pleasant. It's album filler. And it's not offensive. It's not like atrociously bad like Electro Velvet were last year. But at the same time, I can't remember the melody, and I heard it maybe 5 minutes ago. It's too forgettable.
I also struggled to come up with a number 3 because for me it's really a 2-horse race. But if I had to choose, my number 3 would be Bianca with Shine a Little Light, which seems to be playing off the Katrina and the Wave vibe of Love Shine a Light. In any event, Leona Lewis helped write this, and you can really hear that. If Leona was singing this, it would be amazing, because she would really give it all the peaks and valleys and Mariahs. Bianca, in this demo version, she's fine, it's pleasant, but it doesn't necessarily feel authentic to her. Like, I just don't see her coming up with this on her own and then belting it out like Leona would. It starts off with a bit of Caribbean cool, there's like a calypso vibe, and that kind of dissipates. Ultimately, though, I'm just not into this. I don't get into it until the bridge. When the bridge comes in, I'm like, whoa, this is what you should have started, because this is amazing. And so the final minute is what redeems it for me. But the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, I am bored, I am pressing skip, I'm stuck in traffic, and I'm changing the channel.
To me, it sounds like, the demo track that you get on like a really cheap electronic keyboard. That sounds like the backing track for the like first 2 minutes of the song. And then, like you said, it like suddenly creates this big, really good thing. But by that point, I'm like, just no, get off the stage, please, move on.
Leona Lewis co-wrote this track. So you'd say, shouldn't she be a bit excited that she's in Eurovision? Shouldn't she follow this woman who's in Eurovision on Twitter? No, radio silence. She probably doesn't even know the song was submitted. This was probably done in some writing session for her album, her last album, which failed to get into the top 10, which failed to produce any top 40 singles, which was after Simon Cowell dropped her, or she parted ways with his record label, whatever story you like to listen to. Yeah, so she obviously decided that this song wasn't good enough, and she gave it to this lady, or her people gave it to this lady. The same way as Black Smoke with Ella Eyre ended up with Anne Sophie last year from Germany, and that came last with 0 points. And this song is not as good as Black Smoke, so that's all I have to say.
I take it you're not a fan.
No.
Chris, your number 2.
So my number 2 is Joe and Jake. It's relatively catchy. It does feel very much like a low-rent version of Lighthouse 10 or Lighthouse X. It doesn't feel like it's any better than that, and they're not even in my top 5 at Eurovision at the moment. But at the same time, it's got a kind of hook to it. I could see it on the Eurovision stage. I mean, when it was the first one played, I had a little bit of hope that actually, all the songs were going to be of that quality. We're going to kind of like get a bit better as it went along. If they opened the show as well at You Decide, if that was the draw order, then I can see them actually doing pretty well, because it is a good show opener. But it is lacking. It's still, I mean, there's a big gap between my number 2 and my number 1, so.
And Porg, I'm going to interject here just because Joe and Jake are also my number 2. This sounds very British to me. I think if you're out there in Europe and this comes on, you'll be like, ooh, Britain in the house. I like that authentic British flavor. My issue is that the song kind of feels the same from start to finish. It's a bit of a plateau. It's very pleasant. It's like a lovely walk, checking out the flowers, checking out the trees. But after 3 minutes, you're like, all right, let me slide, let me climb, let me do something. I am hopeful though. I think this is well produced. I think it sounds a bit more expensive than the other tracks. And so perhaps with a slight revamp, I don't know, they make the bridge bigger or something, give us some kind of dynamics. And the 2 guys seem very likable. If you go on Twitter, people are saying, ooh, who's top, who's bottom? People are really feeling them, like they're attracted to them, they've got star quality. And they've had very varied careers. Joe was once a rapper named J.O.E. So he's used to kind of working it, throwing down some swagger. And the other singer, he's performed in pubs in Stoke. So it's like, they've had different experiences, varied experiences, which they could bring to bear in Stockholm.
Of course, the last time we sent a Voice UK act, that ended up with Bianca from Electro Velvet, so...
Ooh, and didn't Alex also sing in pubs?
Immediately leap up from Electro Velvet, at least. And I would say that probably 4 out of these songs are better than Electro Velvet, so...
Poreg, number 2.
My number 2, I'm picking it more because I see potential in it rather than its current raw form, and that's Karl William Lund with Miracle. It has this, stop puking after what you've selected. And it's like it reminds me, the very start reminds me of Tom Francis from Belgium selection. And it has that feel, and you're kind of, it's building up to be an anthem, and you're expecting this wow moment to come. This wow moment never comes though. So like it's building you up and then the song is over. The production is probably a bit dated, but I think it has the raw ingredients that if the BBC are willing to invest a little money into the song and the entry, it could potentially do well.
Yeah, this is a shame because his cover of Beyonce's Halo is really quite good. Ryan Seacrest actually shared it on his TV show, and so it's clear that Karl William can sing, he can belt it out, but this song isn't the right platform. They need to revamp it and tweak it to make it more about him in a way, because at the moment it feels very generic. Anyone could sing that and it would sound the same. But if you, I don't know, give it something to infuse more Karl, like a big old bridge where he can go freestyle, something, it's just missing. There's something missing here.
It needs like that last minute of Bianca's song where it suddenly becomes something. This is just such a plateau that it doesn't do anything. It doesn't make me remember any bit of it. It was a letdown at the end of those 6 songs.
Wow. Time for the drum roll. It is time to reveal our number 1 favorite for the United Kingdom at Eurovision 2016, Chris.
So my favourite, surprise, surprise, is Darline with Until Tomorrow.
Hold on to me. I know
Genuinely, I think it's a really good song. I'm actually quite surprised that that this has sort of entered this selection. I think that they do have a chance of making maybe not top 10, but the left-hand side of the scoreboard if they went to Eurovision. I can see it being staged at Eurovision as well. It's very kind of like first aid kit, and obviously the Swedish crowd would maybe react to that a little bit. I think that it has issues. I think it needs a bit more of a climax, but I think it's really nice, and it makes me. I enjoyed it the whole way through, which I didn't for any of the other songs particularly. So, yeah.
Darline is also my number one.
Until tomorrow, hold on to me like the last leaf on a tree. I won't let go.
I think they look like pop stars. I think they fit together. And this song, it feels like it came from them. It wasn't handed to them. You know, they really worked on this over a long period of time, and they've injected their soul into it. And, you know, they talk about loving Dolly Parton, Taylor Swift, and you can hear that because it's country folky, but it has just the right amount of pop mainstream to make it appeal to people outside that genre. This is just really good. To me, it's the standout track. When I listened to these 6 songs in a row, it was the one that I remembered. I think they can, with a live performance, give it that climax. I think maybe the demos or these versions are kind of muting everyone, but when these girls sing live, they are gonna come alive. Not tomorrow, today, right now. They've got it. I mean, I think they could be stars.
Yeah, well, surprise, surprise, they're my number one as well.
I won't let go until tomorrow. Hold on to me.
Really, it's a one-horse race. I can't see anyone else being a dark horse and passing them out, unless obviously the British voters go crazy, but there's not an act crazy enough that people will go, oh, that's really funny, I'll back them. So I think this act will have to get through. It's very like maybe Gabrielle Aplin, Janet Devlin, that kind of genre, Nina Nesbitt. It's very country folksy, but it's very British at the same time. And they blend together, their harmonies work. They sing in tune, which is more the last year's pair. Yeah, and it doesn't feel cringy. It feels natural. But then I think that they're a respectable, credible entry, but I think they could be like Molly Sterling or Anna Rossonelli or Eliza, that they've got nice songs, but they'll get forgotten amidst the craziness of Eurovision.
But I guess if you consider this a rebuilding year, this would wipe away Electro Velvet, put that out of people's minds, and set the UK back on the right track. If this went, it would be a credible entry, which in a way I think is most important this year. Like, we're not gonna have a winner from this lot. But if the UK can send something that isn't laughed at, and something that people say, okay, they made an effort, and you know, this could chart in some country, somewhere, then well done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive step up from Electro Velvet if they went. And you can tell, like, they have performed at big arenas as well. They've toured with the Shires, and you can kind of get that influence as well in the song, I think. So I don't think that they'd be phased if they went to Stockholm. I think that they would be okay. I mean, they're only 20 and 18 as well, so there is obviously a bit of...
Wow.
We thought that Molly would be fine, and she kind of got daunted when she ended up in Copenhagen. But I do think that they should go. I have a fear that the UK might send Karl if, like, he gets the pimp slot at the Decide final and stuff, but we'll see.
Well, the running order is as they were revealed on the
Yeah.
video. So the girls are singing fifth, so that's quite good.
Yeah, then they, like the BBC, I think, have probably put the two that they would most want to go right at the end. So
Now there is one act we have not mentioned in our top threes. The only act not to make any of our top threes is Matthew James with A Better Man. He, of course, was in the boy band Bad Boys Inc., which many will think was quite bad. In any event, why didn't this song make your tops?
I love the way you say he was, of course, in this boy band, as if it's common general knowledge that the whole world should know. Yeah, it simply is the worst song. It could have been competing against Jordan and Javine back in 2005, and it still wouldn't. It still would have been the worst song back then.
the production then.
Yeah, the production is just so bad. It's so dated. I don't know, and I'm very surprised that this seems to be the Baska entry, and Baska are the credible songwriters, and The song itself probably isn't too bad, but it's just woeful, the production.
It's effectively That Sounds Good to Me 2.0, in where they've probably like got this like respected songwriting team and they've just sent something that they've had in their back catalogue for years and years. It sounds like something he would have sung in the 90s. It sounds like something that would have been rejected by like Robbie Williams or Gary Barlow's solo career, and it's been like gathering dust ever since then. And now they were like, oh, we suddenly have to come up with a song. Let's just throw it at the first 90s single we've got. Yeah, it's just really poor.
And I worry that he might actually do better than we think. Of course, over the weekend when the tabloids were speculating on who would sing, his name emerged, and he got quite a bit of coverage. He was in The Sun online, I believe. So there are going to be people out there who remember him from Bad Boys and want to get behind him. I mean, the phrase bad boy kind of fits with this, because this song sounds sleazy to me. It's a little rapey. Like, I just picture a guy at a bar putting pills in a woman's drink, and it's just something about it is very unsavory. I don't know what it is. Maybe the fact it's called A Better Man, maybe it's his delivery. I really can't get into this. It sounds so 1998.
Which is weird because his styling doesn't look it looks like he's trying to be hipster, but it's not working because it's too much of a throwback for it to be like a cool throwback kind of sound.
Well, that's what we think. What do you think? That's our Eurovision Top 6. You can let us know yours here on the wiwibloggs YouTube channel.
Please subscribe to our channel.
And hit the like button.
See you later.